You have to, for a moment, maybe for a day, for a week, we ask you just to put your desires aside. Just put them aside for a little while and just deeply reflect on the truth. Reflect on your real purpose in life and see if that can push you in a different direction.
So we're going to be talking about this question that we got in from a non-Muslim. Women in your religion cover from head to toe. There's no freedom at all. I feel sorry for the Muslim females, and they put the woman down. Why do you think it is that someone, we've seen this, the woman, because the next point she mentions is, women in your religion, they got to cover from head to toe. But you'll see women just fighting so hard. It's like freezing outside, and she's got, the skirt coming up, and you're like, man, ain't you cold? She's just fighting, but now the cold weather will still have to have her put on some clothes.
Yeah.
Or she'll have to give out, the number. The guys are out there, what their agenda is. They want to satisfy their desires. The woman, she feels insecure if she's not giving, at least if her phone's not blowing up and 20 guys are calling her a date. She's got to have this feeding to her ego, and it becomes like a game. It becomes like, this life we're just playing with each other.
And it's really what a lot of times our sisters don't realize in humanity is that they're actually being used. They think they're dressing how they want. You don't want that. You're just appealing to the desires of men. That's what they want. It's not what you want. They want it more than you do. They want you to dress half naked. And so the thing about hijab and covering and modesty and things like that, first and foremost, it's a commandment in Islam. Well, the Muslim woman covers, she covers herself in a certain way. Why? Because she is convinced this is a commandment, a prescription from her Lord, and what her Lord says is better for her in her fulfilling her purpose. That's the essential point of this issue. But just to speak about clothing a little bit, there are, in Islam we say that there are three purposes of clothing. There are three purposes of clothing. One purpose of clothing is protecting yourself from the elements of the weather, like you just mentioned. Another purpose of clothing is beautification. Another purpose of clothing is modesty. There are three purposes: protection, beautification, and modesty. But the priority is different. In Islam, the priority first is what? Modesty. That's the first priority. You have to have decency. You have to have, you shouldn't be objectified, So that's the first purpose. The second purpose of clothing in Islam, of course, is protection from the weather and together with beautification. There's nothing wrong with wearing nice clothes, so long as you are guarding your modesty, right? What happens in a lot of non-Muslim culture is that a lot of times people don't care about modesty at all. They don't even care sometimes about protecting themselves from the weather, like you said.
Yeah.
What are they concerned about? What they think is beautification.
Yeah.
That's what they're concerned about.
She don't want the whistle, but she's got to have it.
Yeah. So this is the, it's a change of shift because, and we say modesty, which is it's an aspect of humility. And why does a Muslim have to have humility? Because they've acknowledged that they're not in charge of their life. There's a higher power.
Yeah.
So even in their speech, even in their daily life, in how they spend their time, in their clothing. Clothing is just one manifestation of humility, but we argue that humility has to be something that's a part of your speech, your demeanor, your mannerisms, the way you speak to people, the way you deal with your family, the way you deal with your Lord. There has to be humility all around. And one of those aspects is humility in clothing.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're almost out of time. Just a few more points. We will hope that you will continue on because this program is very short. And we just want to give you a good taste and clear some of this junk that's out there. That the point about these the women, it seems like the Muslim women who do cover up, they make a conscious decision. Even people that might come from abroad, they come over here.
Yeah.
This is their opportunity to take off the hijab. They wear it. They still they're not slaves to their desires. They're slaves to their Creator. And
sure.
They feel a great commitment to do this. And you have many American women who are taking a conscious decision and putting this on their own. They're not forced
Absolutely.
to do this. This
Absolutely.
is an amazing thing. Now, the other point that the person brought up is about the organized religion. And you hear this a lot, where a person will be like, that all religions are just man-made. And I would agree, we shouldn't have to follow a man-made religion organized by men. So how can we clear up this misconception?
I think what's happened is, at least in Western society, there's been a lot of disappointment with certain religions because you could see clearly the logical contradictions in them, like right off the bat. You don't even have to go deep into finding the
Yeah.
logical contradictions. You could see them right off the bat.